Hey everyone, welcome to Aussie Footy Chats, episode 7, Carlton Trade Chat. So today we're going to talk about the Blue Baggers, the Navy Blues, the Carlton Football Club. So last year was a hard year for Carlton. They finished outside the 8 after a few decent years, one playing a prelim and one finishing inside the 8. With the coach Michael Voss, they stuck with him even after a hard year, and they sort of struggled. So this year they hit the reset button, but they still kept the coach, which I personally think that's a great thing for Carlton. I just want to say that's, congratulations on keeping your coach and hitting the reset button. So I'm going to explain the players they brought in through trade, through free agency, and the draft picks, and also the father-son aspects of the draft and who they're going to sort of bring in with that. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with Liam Reedy joins Carlton. Fremantle trade Liam Reedy, and it's third round draft pick of 53 and a fourth round draft pick of 71 to the Carlton Football Club for its round 3 pick 50 and a round 4 pick 68 in the 2025 AFL draft. A true competitor. We see a lot of promise in Liam. The Carlton head of list management, Nick Austin, said. So he said that his form in the WAFL, the Western Australian Football League, in recent years has been really promising and caught our eye. With his athleticism and ability to cover the ground, a standout. We see him being a significant addition to our ruck group alongside Mark Pidnett and Hudson O'Keefe. So Liam's a ruckman. He's come in to replace Tom DeGoni, which is left during free agency to St Kilda. So Tom DeGoni was arguably the best ruckman at the start of last year, statistically. And so he's looked to move to St Kilda on some big money. So I'll get it more into that side of stuff later on, and I'll explain a bit there with the St Kilda trade chat. But we'll stick with Carlton because that's what we're talking about at the moment. So yeah, they've got another ruckman in to help Mark Pidnett, which I think that's quite smart. He's a ruckman that didn't get much game time at Fremantle. Looks pretty good. Looks solid. Big, tall guy. Looks pretty mobile for his size. And I think, it giving him a number one ruck spot or to battle it out with Mark Pidnett for that role is good. They didn't get him for much. Didn't have to spend much to get him. And they also have a big hole in the cap space now to get future players. That's including the Tom DeConing move through free agency. So I'll just quickly explain that at the moment. I'll be bouncing between a bit because I just needed to explain that because the ruck situation at Carlton, and that's the first one and the first trade they made. It also follows along with the free agency. I'm just following along with the movements that's been made. So we'll just quickly have a look at my notes, and we have St Kilda got Tom DeGoni and they got Jack Silvani leaving. So that leaves a hole so Jack's a defender. Obviously, family is a legendary name there, with his dad being a legend player and of the legend of the game. And so he's followed his father's footsteps and played. And unfortunately, had a few injuries. Didn't quite live up to the name at the time, but looked like he was, to be honest, he was undersized for a lot of positions they played him in for a lot of early in his career. He looks really good at the moment. Before he got sort of injured and come back and all that, and he's back, he looked really good, almost as the second key defender. So yeah, they lose them through the free agency, but also pick up picks. I'll explain the picks that I have just at the end of this, once we get through the trades. So there was a three-way club trade. So there was 3 clubs involved in this trade. Like I mentioned on previous podcasts, multiple clubs can trade together. So the Blues snare Gold Coast gun in a 3-club trade. The Gold Coast forward Ben Ainsworth will wear the navy blue, with the 27-year-old to be the main component of the trade, which also sees Corey Durden head to Port Adelaide. So along with Durden, Carlton's future second-round pick will make its way to Port, with Port's pick 67 of this year's draft going to Carlton's way. And Gold Coast will end up with pick 29. Ainsworth played 158 games for the Suns after debuting in the 2017 season, and will add invaluable experience and craft for Michael Voss's front half and the forward line. So Ben fits the profile of a player we have been going after this trade period in both age and experience, with Ben to complement our emerging small forward crop. The list boss Nick Austin has said. His impact in the forward half speaks for itself. He's dynamic and exciting, smart, and just has a natural forward craft. Who has shown consistent ability to play his role in and week out and each week. So over the long period of time. So he's like a half forward type player. I think he's a good pressure player. Can just come in and impact with tackles. Can hunt the ball. Can sneak a good goal. But yeah, generally I think an impact forward that can tackle and chase. So with Corey Durden moving to Port Adelaide, I guess it's a like for like. I think Ben's probably a little bit bigger in size, but still that small forward, the half forward ratio, but just a bit more height and a bit more structure to his body, which he can impact and have a good tackling game and bring good front half pressure. Quite similar players, just a little bit bigger and probably stronger. So yeah, that's quite interesting. That's probably a good move by them. Gold Coast, I'll get into their trade stuff, but yeah, I think Gold Coast have a few good half forwards, but still I think he'll be a bit of a loss for the club. So I see him playing quite a strong role and put a lot of pressure on the forward line, also keeping players sort of ready to go. So also, Blues stay busy and they land a West Coast youngster. Carlton have continued to land talent and to help offset its player exodus, which I will explain in a minute, with also the free agency and another big trade. So in the off-season, they've made a good trade. They went for the former number 14 draft pick, Campbell Chesser, from the West Coast Eagles. The Blues traded pick 41. Chesser has battled a range of injuries since entering the league, but played 36 games for West Coast. So he's, a wingman, probably mid/forward. Can play those sort of roles. It was a first round draft pick, and the Blues got him for pick 41. I know he wanted to go home, so he's chosen to go home to Victoria. And yeah, just we'll see how he turns out as a player. And pick 41. I would be pretty happy if I was Carlton if he turns out to be a good player. West Coast looking to add an extra pick in, and he has to go home. So yeah, it's sort of hard because West Coast used a high draft pick. I'll get into that in more detail, West Coast, but from Carlton's perspective, yeah, it's a good pickup. and didn't spend a lot to get him. So yeah, that's an easy sort of player to bring in for them, and we'll see if he does quite well. So I'll just go through another couple of my notes. So Oliver Florian joins the Blues. Carlton have added Oliver to its list, acquiring a speedy halfback in exchange for a 2026 third round selection. Florentin arrives to Icon Park with the wealth of experience, having played 184 games, 51 goals. The 27-year-old finished top 7 in Sydney's best and fairest in both 2023 and 24 season, which they reached a grand final and played finals. So he's obviously going to be a round one starter. Not sure what position they'll play him at. I think a halfback would be quite good for him. And he brings in experience with a few young lads down there. And, a good ball user. He's at a new club, I think will be good for him. I think personally that will be good. Alongside that man down there. Wrong way. Patrick Cripps. So, yeah, brings a bit of experience. Sydney lose a pretty experienced player. And they also didn't really get much for him. He's 27. It's prime of your football career. 27's about like your peak prime. And look, it's probably like from a Blues perspective, a win-win. Sydney, if they feel like, I'll get into Sydney more, I'll explain their sort of role, but they must feel like they've got that position covered. Hinting that, it's a mutual sort of thing that he wanted to trade and the club was happy to trade him and they didn't really get much for him. And the Blues get an established player. And that's quite a win. So, yeah, good on them. They get a halfback with 184 games of experience and they bring him in. So I'll just go through my notes again. We'll get to some of the big ones that have happened. And the Charlie Curnow trade. So Curnow was a key position forward line player for the Carlton Football Club, 2-time Coleman medalist, and just an absolute gun. He's kicked bags of goals, and I'm not sure what happened between him and the club, whether they've just had a personal fallout or not, or if it's mutual. But yeah, he struggled a bit this year with form. Obviously, the whole team struggled with form. And they just struggled to get the ball movement down to Charlie. And they also got McKay as another key forward. And I think they're probably happy to go with Harry McKay, and keep him as the key position forward line player. So they had the two players, and at times, sometimes may overlap each other and struggle. And I noticed at the end of last year when they were playing a few games, when I was watching them, seemed like they were running with Harry as their main forward. And they seemed to structure quite well. They sort of played a few games. They've sort of won a couple games towards the back end of the year. And they looked a bit more free-flowing. And I don't know if that's just because that's just the way it is. But, yeah, I think so. We'll go through what Carlton traded. So it was a monster deal. So he's been traded to Sydney in a monster deal that sees the Blues receive 3 first-round draft picks. The first time in history that 3 first-round draft picks have been traded or exchanged in the trade period. So Sydney's play for Curnow paid off after hitting a snag earlier in the week. So it was a lot of chat. Happened on the last day. So the Blues rejected Sydney's first offer for their star forward, and they sort of had to work out a deal. In the end, Curnow was traded to the Swans along with pick 31 and 42 and a 2027 second rounder with Will Hayward and pick 11 and two first round picks. So pick 11 this year and two future first rounds along with Will Hayward. So Will Hayward's a half forward at Sydney, South Australian product. So yeah, he's from SA. And yeah, so it's sort of interesting that he did just sign a deal, and there was a bit of chat about him last year in the trade period where if he wanted to come back to SA, and there was some teams that sort of showed a bit of interest, probably more the Crows. Port probably didn't have the draft capital to make those moves. But yeah, there was chatter, and then he re-signed the deal with the Swans, and then a year later, he's happy to move club and not move back home to South Australia, but move to Victoria with Carlton. Which so on that deal they got 3 first round picks and Will Hayward. So Will's sort of in his prime, probably similar sort of age, probably a little bit younger, maybe 26 or 25. Can't quite remember. He's in that sort of age bracket. He's not young, but he's under 30, and he's in that sort of bracket of 27. So he's moving towards his prime, and Carlton pick up 3 first round draft picks, which is fascinating, and it's a massive deal. Sydney, which I'll explain in their trade period chat, are looking for a key forward. They've got a few good forwards, but I'll get into that in detail with Sydney. Sticking with Carlton, they've elected to move in. Like I said, they're going to stick with Harry as their sort of key forward. And they've got now 3 first round draft picks. So that's for the next sort of few years. So the Blues land Sydney's first round draft pick of this year, next year in 2027. So that's but they now no longer have a 2026 second round pick or a 2027 second round pick. They also parted ways with 2026 third round pick. So they have got some draft capital with these early draft picks, and also they've got this year's draft they got pick 9, pick 11, pick 43, pick 54, 67, 72, 87, and 105, and they sort of got a lot of sort of young players that they're looking at. There are 2 father-sons that are going to be quite hard draft picks. So Harry Dean and Cody Walker is in next year's draft. Cody is, and he's a top 5 prospect. While Harry Dean is going to be a top 10 draft pick. Now he plays like a centre back, sort of third tool sort of role. Essentially like a Josh Battle type role. So it could be easily second key defender. 193 centimeters, so he's only young still, so he's still going to grow, but he's been compared to Josh Battle from what I read. Very competitive in nature, and he's a bit of an old school footballer. With Sam Docherty retiring, so congratulations to Sam Docherty's career and everything that he went through as a player, as a testament to him through his cancer battle, and he's shown the nation and the world how to be a professional footballer and deal with that. So congratulations to his career. Seems like a great guy, well loved across the football world, and I think he's a guy that could come in and replace him. So yeah, I think it's apparently a good ball mover, can use the ball well, but tough as nails, old school. I like hearing that. I love seeing a tough old school type player come in, especially like the younger blokes. It's always like really cool to hear that. So yeah, and Cody Walker's Andrew Walker's son. So that'll be quite interesting. And he's in the next. It's supposed to be a top 5 pick in next year's draft. So Carlton have got a bit of capital to build up this year to probably match a bid for Harry Dean, and also I know they don't have much. They sold some of their second rounds of stuff next year, and a third rounder the following year. But I'm thinking that they could maybe do a deal to swap more to build that draft capital up to keep those players. So when you think about it, that's 2 first rounders with the father son, and I've not added in the pick 9, pick 11, and the next couple first round picks the following year. So the one and after another. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential sort of first round picks, which is yeah, that's amazing draft capital and haul. So yeah, they it did cost a bit to trade Charlie Curnow out, but if you actually generally look at that, and that's an amazing draft haul of players. If they pick the right players and also added the father son in, wow, whew. Carlton fans, that's going to be quite a list for the next upcoming years. Yes, they may take a bit to develop. I did read that Harry Dean's more developed than other players and could be ready to go. Whether who they pick or whether they develop them, and Jagger Smith coming back off an injury, who's a high draft pick last year, unfortunately had the ACL injury, and has had a year to build strength up, build the coming back off the injury and coming back from rehab to build all the strength in the knee, and just an extra pre-season now. And yeah, best of luck to him. No one likes to see those types of injuries. So yeah, here's another one you could almost add in. That's a first rounder. It's just amazing draft haul. I know they lose Corey Durden, Charlie Curnow, Tom DeConing, Jack Salvani, and yeah, they've lost those 3 guys. But you look who they brought in, and it's just that's amazing draft haul. I don't. They also got Will Hayward and Ben Ainsworth, so they got like 2 middle-aged players. They're towards their prime, and they also got all these high draft picks. They've got a ruckman replacement, and so good on them. I think having a ruck replacement is important. You just I've gone to other clubs that may have not done that, which they should have probably looked at if they've got players there to develop. But so the ruckman generally don't grow on trees, and they can be hard to find that are developed at the right age, because taller guys take time to develop, and clubs put a lot of effort in. They didn't have to develop this guy; they traded to get him, Liam Reedy, and they brought him in. So yeah, it's to me it's a developing process. I know they got rid of one of their star forwards, which could come back to hurt them if they have an injury to Harry Mackay. But it's an interesting one. I really feel that they've done really well, and I just looking at the grading, if they didn't really have a grading for them here, but I'd give it an easily. I wouldn't give it an A because they lost a star forward, but if they could draft a star forward to turn him into an absolute gun that's replaced the guy that's getting older, I mean, you could push that into the A. But we'll see what they get with their first round picks. That's why I don't like to judge a team on their draft and their trade so early. But you look who they brought in, who they lost. I know they lost Tom DeConing. He's a star ruckman. That will hurt. Star forward. It's a developing thing. They've traded out those guys to bring in first round draft picks. So there's a lot of positive, but also some negative because who they got rid of. So yeah, you take the good with the bad, I guess. Look at the positives. Look at the first round draft picks, the players they brought in. I know who they lost. That's the negative part, and it's to be seen. So that's the Carlton Football Club. I hope all the Blues fans out there enjoyed this podcast. I try to be pretty fair about it and being honest. And yeah, I hope you really liked it and enjoyed it. And so that's it for the Carlton Football Club's trade chats. And now I'm going to follow on to the next podcast, which is going to be about the Collingwood trade chats. Collingwood is the arch rival of Carlton, so it's just ironic that the alphabetical order follows that. So just a bit of history there. So we're going to go on to Carlton's arch rival, the Collingwood Football Club, next, and we're going to cover what they have to say, what they did in trade, and yeah, so that's the end for the Carlton trade chats. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone has a great week and stay safe. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Thank you.